fuck is up, YouTube? It's your boy Sam here again, creator of Scratch TV, and this time I got another vlog, a vlog story, or true vlog stories, whatever the fuck I'm calling this. This story is about a friend of mine named Eddie. Now, Eddie, to describe this dude, Eddie at the time, because I was like 14 years old, I think. Eddie was a really big dude. Like, he developed way faster than all of us, you know? And this dude, by the time he was 14, it was like 6'2". I mean, this dude was like really tall. And I know he didn't fail any grades because, you know, I was in elementary school with him, and I was in middle school for the most part with him and everything. So, you know, I know that he didn't fail any grades and everything, so he was just naturally like that. And Eddie was one of those weird characters. He was kind of like Matt. But Eddie was kind of different. He was kind of like creepy different, but he's the guy that you want on your side in a fight, you know? Like, to give you an example, Eddie is the kind of guy that he got the Michael Myers jumpsuit on, you know? Like, that was his main thing. In the wintertime, he had this jumpsuit, just straight jet black, you know? And we used to call him Michael Myers, or Michael. We used to call him Michael Myers all the time, and he was crazy. And then, like, one day he actually showed up to school. And I think it was like November or something. It was like right after Halloween. But one day he shows up to school dressed as Michael Myers, and what he did was, see, the way that our school worked was, our school was on a bit of a hill. And, well, actually it was on a really big ass hill. But our school was on a hill. And the way it worked was, you got the main building, you got the 7th grade building right here. You got the 6th grade building, or I'm sorry, the 8th grade building right next to it, and then you get the 6th grade building out in the front, you know? And then, like, you had this path that, you know, it drove up, you would drive up, and then you would, like, turn around. Well, Eddie decided to stand at the edge of the path and everything, right? Like, at the top of the hill, not the bottom. He stood at the top of the hill, and he kind of just stood there for a second. And considering how tall he was, people literally thought that he was an adult. And it was just fucking weird. And I used to get in trouble hanging out with him a lot, you know, like, he was one of those guys, you know, he would just do stupid pranks, and I just happened to be in the fucking area with him, and, like, punishment wasn't that bad at my old school, at, like, my middle school, but, you know, it was still, like, you got a slap on the wrist and everything, so he was into some pretty dumb shit. And one of the dumbest things that I think he ever did was the time that he tried jumping his house. Now, I wasn't there for this. And I heard rumors about it and everything, and then finally somebody showed me a video. But what had happened prior to that was Eddie walked into school one day, and we all had to sit in kind of like the auditorium, and we had to wait for the bell to ring and everything. I don't know how other schools worked, but that's how ours worked. But we had to wait for the bell to ring to go to class if we didn't have anything to do. So we would all sit in the auditorium, and we would usually sit in the middle. And Eddie kind of looked at me one day. He looked at the rest of us. He's like, "Hey guys," he's like, "You know I'm a big, you know, dirt bike fan and everything, right?" And we were like, "Yeah, so?" And he's like, "I was thinking about doing a jump, you know?" And we're like, "Well, what kind of jump?" He's like, "Well, I'm thinking about jumping my house." And we all kind of laughed and everything. We didn't know he was actually being serious and everything. But we all kind of just laughed it off and everything. And eventually, the next day, we didn't see Eddie, right? And the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And this went on for about, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks that he was gone and everything. And at first we thought Eddie died and everything, you know? Because that was the one thing. It's like he either died or he moved, because we don't know what the fuck happened, you know? Or he went to juvie. It was one of those 3 options. But we didn't know what happened to Eddie until about 3 weeks later when he came back to school. This dude was fucked up. Like, literally, he was in a wheelchair, okay? He had a broken arm all the way up to here. He had his mouth sewed shut, like his gums and everything, they were sewed shut because he busted his jaw. He didn't break his neck. I guess, like, he, like, got whiplash or something from crashing, I don't know. But, like, he had a cast around his neck, too. And then he had a busted-ass leg with one of those big cartoon casts that you see and everything. Like, it wasn't, like, one of those, like, you know, fracture casts that you get and everything with the color and everything. Like, this was one of those big, beefy fucking casts and everything. And he's just rolling up in a wheelchair and everything. He can't talk for a day, right? And so the next day, he pulls out his phone, right? And the next day, you know, he's kind of finally mumbling in some words and everything. He's like, check this out, you know? We were like, okay. So we pulled it up on his phone. We pulled up the video of him actually crashing. And I don't know if it's up on YouTube or anything, and it should be, and I wish I had the video, but I don't, because I haven't seen Eddie in so long. But I honestly wish I had this video. It's fucking perfect. So the way this sets up is, Eddie built this ramp, okay? He built this shitty-ass ramp. And instead of a ramp, you know, trying to jump something, a ramp that trying to jump something usually does this, okay? Like, kind of that motion, okay? You gotta get at least a little bit higher, but not too high, you know? So Eddie was trying to jump his house, right? Eddie decides, well, fuck it. I'm not going to get over the house, so I'll just build the ramp up. So he builds a ramp like this, right? Which was the first step for just fucking stupidity, you know? The second step was for stupidity was he was only wearing a helmet, right? And that fucking helmet must have saved his life and everything. The third problem with his theory on jumping his house was 2 stories. I mean, it wasn't like one of those big mansions and everything, you know, but it was a 2-story house, you know. It had a couple rooms in it and everything. I mean, it was an alright looking house. So, Eddie decides, he's like, well, fuck it. The ramp's good. The distance looks good. I'm gonna fucking go for it. So, he gets on his bike, and he gets some pretty good speed on it, right? Like, he's got to be going at least 50 miles an hour. So he gets some pretty good speed on it, and then all of a sudden he hits this ramp. But instead of doing like this, you know, he does this and everything. So he hits this ramp and flies straight the fuck up, right? And I'm so glad that the camera person caught this. He flies straight the fuck up, and then just kind of dive bombs. Like, he drops like a bag of nails from a roof and everything, right? He clears the distance, like he clears the distance up of his house, but he couldn't get over it and everything to hit the other side. So he clears the distance up and then comes back falling and crashing down. He crashes through the second floor of his roof, or the second story of his house, through his fucking roof, right? And then it was funny. After Eddie got his stitches out of his mouth that were holding his jaw up and everything, Eddie looked at us and he said, "That was so fucking worth it." And I was all like, dude, your dad must want to kill you right now and everything, right? Because his dad was a bit of a hard ass, you know. All our dads were a bit of a hard ass on us, so. But I was like, dude, your dad must want to kill you right now. He's like, yeah. You want to know what he told me in the hospital? I was like, what? He's like, you better heal up fast, boy, because I'm going to kick your ass and send you back here again. But that's just one of the weird friends that I've had. I mean, he's just one of those fucked up guys. So thank you everyone so much for liking, commenting, and subscribing. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.